This postseason was kind of like witnessing life around the gates of Megacity. On one end, supposed order and peace, brutalized by a police force of Astros to maintain supremacy. Outside of them, absolute chaos. Everything is burning and lawlessness runs rampant. After long battles, both sides meet at the gates. How did we get here, you ask? Comes as more of a relief that the Rays are gone. This season was a nightmare that would never end. Injured players aplenty and a hitting core that never gained traction. One unable to do a damn thing against Cleveland pitching. The heart of their lineup was dog shit. That long skid to end the year merely continued, and the inevitable had to commence. A 15-inning epic, a masterclass of pitching. Tampa's arms doing everything in their power to get them a win, but the bats can't solve the labyrinth. The song playing at their funeral, the theme from SpongeBob. Are you ready, kids? No, you aren't. And thank God for that. I did say this team was boom or bust in the playoff preview. Well, they busted. Big time. These two games boiled down the J season so well it could be put in the Louvre. Game 1, the typical disappointments of an underachieving team. Shit happens. But Game 2, what we witnessed was possibly the greatest choke in baseball history. An 8-1 lead with the Mariners dead to rights. What happens? Awful bullpen management, terrible defense, and an offense asleep on a big dumper. Series blown. And it's one they might have a hard time recovering from. You said this season was the movie, Vlad? Unfortunately for you, the Jays produced the 2019 version of Cats.
And you blew it! You blew it!
Call it a still outcome all you want, but when the Mets come up short, lol Mets will always be the first go-to. I would say the way this apple rotted at the end of the year qualifies for such a moniker. Daddy Steve has to be having a conniption. When you throw that much money into the starting rotation and it doesn't perform, that'd be breaking shit as well. As the agony rolled along, Game 3 had us witness an entire fan base slowly die. A one-hitter while being buried by small ball. Think this loss is pain? Jacob deGrom, Brandon Nimmo, and Edwin Diaz will more than likely be free agents this offseason. The Trumpets are now playing taps. Yes, this does suck chunks. Do you want to know the cure? Not being swept by the Braves or Cubs in the final month of the year. I really thought this team was going to rumble to the World Series. Too many storylines and momentum to think otherwise. Instead, St. Louis got their comeuppance for 2011. Their failure to advance is the official end of an era. Pujols, Molina, and possibly Wainwright will all be retiring. It didn't need to be like this. What was Oli Marmol doing with his managerial deployments? No short leash on an injured Ryan Helsley? Pujols in the two-hole? His actions were self-destruction. That ninth inning of Game 1 ruined their entire season, and the Phillies snatched victory from their hands. This kind of failure isn't going to change until St. Louis realizes that hiring a bunch of yes-men won't do a damn thing for them. When will they realize this? Perhaps the same time that Goldschmidt and Arenado managed to show up in big situations. This has been an incredible year for the Mariners. One of memories and the birth of legends. There's little they can do to ruin this. And you punched your fans in the dick. How the hell did you manage it? This is the best season you've had in 20 years, for fuck's sake! Maybe it has to do with blowing Game 1. Instead of using logic, chuck Robbie Ray out of the bullpen. On 2 days rest. Against your dad! He crushes lefties as a pregame meal. That moment killed the series. Undone by runners in scoring position woes and facing a far superior team. Their first home playoff game, add to it with a brutal 18-inning loss via pitching duel. Agony, thy name is Jeremy Pena. Well, welcome back to the playoffs. We'll be back, I guess. No matter how it happens, it stings. Cleveland overachieved and showed fight we haven't seen in years, but the curse still remains. They can't seal the deal in series-clinching games. Hell is a cruel place for a Guardian. It's mainly when starting pitching keeps running into system errors in every game. The sad part is that this series was definitely winnable. Aaron Boone was doing everything in his power to piss it away at every opportunity. The Yankee bats were hitting a blink 182. Yet the gods fucked them with a rainout and being unable to stay at the same hotel that night. Maybe that's why Tito sent out Aaron Savale to lob meatballs in Game 5. Slow, agonizing death to the usual bully. A squirt of shit on top of a beautiful season. A I'd tell them to lie me down on my funeral, but they'd find a way to blow that as well. What the fuck? Did Atlanta forget to set their alarm clocks to show up to this damn thing? You can't blame one particular thing or game or even a moment. The entire team imploded on itself. The hot batting core suddenly went limp-dicked. Starting pitching best resembled a cookie dispenser. Team defense swapped reputations with the Phillies themselves. It was as humiliating a showing as ever. And there's only one explanation. Devil magic. Not the fact that the Phillies got fire or the Braves tomahawk chopped their own legs off. Pure, undistilled devil magic. I don't get how the best chances the Braves have to win, they take the piss yet win when no one expects them to. The mysteries of life.
You blew it. Fish.
The Dodgers will win the World Series if
we play a full season and there is a postseason.
Wait.
We are winning the World Series in 2022. But I know where you're going with that.
No,
We're winning the World Series this year. Put it on record.
You are winning the World Series.
We are winning the World Series.
Best team in baseball, my ass. The rest of the NL thanks you for keeping Dave Roberts around to choke next October. Please insert more coins to get your so-called murderer's row to hit when it matters.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin. You blew it!
Why do you keep doing this to yourselves? You did the same damn thing regarding Boston a few years ago. You want Houston? You're gonna get Houston. All of it in your fucking rectum. New York didn't even try. The first response to the Astros walking into the batter's box was going into the fetal position. For 4 straight games. Outright domination. I'd rather have seen Cleveland in this spot. They may have been flawed as well, but they'd have at least shown some damn fight. Instead, we get to see Houston's equivalent of how you treat Minnesota. Aroldis Chapman had the right idea, you know that? Chose to fuck off instead of suck chunks like he did during the season. It's kind of ironic how the series ended on an IKF fuck-up and Aaron Judge laying an egg. Speaking of Judge, you're gonna have to pay him the big bucks or else the fan base is going to riot. Have fun partying with your money either way, Hal. Dad would have fired everyone 5 times over by now. You finally beat LA. But at what cost? Falling in the NLCS with a thud? I can talk about how Philly was the far better team in nearly every aspect, about how a bunch of key players didn't perform, or about how AJ Preller's done a better job building up other teams than his own. You wanna know why the Padres lost this series? This. What the fuck is this? When are you going to learn that cringe rapping has only led to your destruction? The gods despise those that think they're above them, and they will force you to bend the knee. Even the sun is conspiring against you for your arrogance. Sad thing is, even without Tatis, that might have been your best shot at a title. I hope it isn't, but the Dodgers aren't going away anytime soon. You have to make your chances count, no matter how they arise. God damn it, Fernando, why are you such a moron? Treating ringworm? Really? And now you see why chaos is indeed the name of the game. At least for the National League. To represent the American League, things were quite more predictable. We meet again. Pretty much become a perennial occurrence. Everyone saw this coming from a mile away. Houston was by far the most well-rounded team of any contender in the American League. They spent the year humming like a bird, merely tweaking their proven formula to try and get back to the summit. They crushed anyone that was thrown at them. A lovable redemption story in Seattle? Destroyed. A perennial doormat in pinstripes? Destroyed. They are once again kings. And it's done in all 3 phases of play. Their hitting core is roughly the same as it was in previous seasons. A deadly tandem of Altuve, Bregman, Gurriel, Kyle Tucker, and Yordan continue to wreak havoc on all challengers. The steady catching glove of Martin Maldonado as a quality battery mate for the pitchers remains as well. There was a major loss, however. Carlos Correa. He left for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow in Minnesota. Too bad that rainbow was a mirage that landed him on a golf course. And who the hell needs him? Jeremy Pena was waiting in the wings, and he's offered the fresh impact that an empire like Houston needs to thrive. Both with the glove and the bat, Pena has done well in replacing Correa. And that's no small task. To round out the crew, Chas McCormick, Aledmus Diaz, Trey Mancini, and Christian Vasquez provide quality depth to a team that destroys souls. They'll unfortunately be without the bat of Michael Brantley, but that loss is more than made up in pitching. In the age of revival, there is one man that stands above the rest. Someone we thought was finished with baseball after a major injury in 2020. Justin Verlander. He has found new life after being left for dead. Not only has he returned to being staff ace, he's turned back the clock at least a decade. Dominance we haven't seen out of him since his days in Detroit. A Cy Young candidate when most careers are winding down. He's the proverbial father figure of a rotation of arms that never gets enough credit for the job they do. Whether it be Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, Luis Garcia, Jose Urquidy, or the returning Lance McCullers, there is plenty of quality to go around. The bullpen is the same, led by Ryan Presley closing down 9th innings, and complemented by an elite chorus of arms that can get them out of any jam. Just pick one out of a hat. There will be greatness that bleeds from every pitch they make. The goal for this year is the same as any other. Eliminate the stench of trash cans. 2017 still lingers despite the Astros' staying power. The last 4 years they've tried to reclaim their prize, they've been stopped short. Whether it be in the ALCS or by those in the NL East, they have been unable to replicate their magic. Even if Dusty Baker doesn't have the greatest reputation for in-game decision-making, the talent around him will carry his legend to what he hasn't experienced since the early 80s. A hard-earned championship. This might be their best chance to do so. They're a fully loaded team running on all cylinders. Pity their opponent. Who even has a chance against this machine? The Phillies? Oh, that's a nice laugh. If they make it here, I'll walk naked across the goddamn continent. Irrelevant mediocrity. Prove me wrong.
And the Philadelphia Phillies are going to the World Series!
Oh, shit. Chaos reigns supreme. I'm sitting here speechless at this revelation. One of the two teams I didn't expect to do shit this postseason has risen like a phoenix from the ashes. We're talking a squad that always fancied themselves as contenders but could never push forward to it. The Phillies were dead men walking back in May. An intensive losing streak that resulted in endless vitriol from all over southeastern Pennsylvania. Colossally underachieving parts. A completely flawed roster that lacked many components of a champion. Joe Girardi's managerial hand had worn very thin. He was cast into the fires of a coal plant near Harrisburg. At the time I figured he was a problem, but not the problem. However, you can't deny the power that a new voice can have on a beleaguered locker room. Rob Thompson was the right manager at the right time. Since that change, they've been winning. And winning. And winning. And then suddenly fell into a massive slump in September that nearly made them miss the playoffs. It wasn't if they'd fail, it was when. The Cardinals are a team of destiny, we said. The Braves are strong candidates to repeat as champions, we said. The Padres beat LA. It's their time, we said. Philly slapped us all in the face with a manhole cover. They've defied all odds to make the big dance. Which mirrors the trajectory of a certain other NL team that won it all a few years ago. Like those Nationals, they are not hurting for star power. They spent the last few seasons collecting up talent like they were trading cards. JT Realmuto's elite hitting prowess at a position of incredible value. Rhys Hoskins finding the form that made him one of the top young players in baseball a few seasons ago. Gene Segura and his smooth bat making his first postseason appearances count. Bryson Stott slotting in nicely at short after Didi Gregorius fell off the map. Alec Boehm transformed from one of the most hated men in Philly back in May to a cult hero. The outfield? At center, Brad Marsh was acquired from the Angels as a speculative piece at the deadline. With his solid glove and bat, he's been the answer to replace Odubel Herrera. Left field features one of the greatest power bats in the game. Schwar bombs being launched to all corners of the stadium, harking only the ringing of bells throughout the deep. I talk about it, but there's a drive to deep left by Castellanos, and that'll be a home run. He hasn't been peaking at Castellanos this year, but his hits will still make it a 4-0 ballgame. But the real star of the show this postseason, Bryce Harper. He's always had talent. He wasn't called a prodigy of the game coming out of high school for nothing. He would show flashes of that incredible ability, but never harnessed it fully. This postseason, he's realizing that greatness. Clutch performances and elite hitting that will make sure he never buys another drink in Philly again. The pitching core is also flush with talent, both homegrown and purchased. Aaron Nola has been a staple of the rotation for as long as we can remember. Zach Wheeler was cast off from the Mets due to injury concerns, but has become one of their most reliable starters thrown into every situation. Kyle Gibson, Ranger Suarez, and goddamn Thor back them up for depth purposes. Their bullpen has changed dramatically. The evils of Hector Neris and Uris Familia can no longer hurt them. Instead, we have the second coming of David Robertson. He's managed to stay healthy this time around, thankfully. and he's been quite effective. Behind him, the white-hot Jose Alvarado, both in his pitching and his flame-throwing power. And then Sir Anthony Dominguez, their fireman and savior of asses in critical situations. It's not a deep team. It's a very hot and cold group. On paper, it's mediocrity defined. However, as we have all seen throughout history, mediocrity can catch fire to achieve greatness. Remember the 2006 Cardinals? 83 and 78. One of the more tepid division winners in history. Consistently overlooked in all of their series. Yet they found incredible form to win it all with ease. The 1987 Twins. Another supposedly mediocre team that would have been crushed in any other division. Once they reached the postseason, they too caught fire and became champions. It's not about what you can do in the regular season. You can at least make it to the dance, you have a shot. Philadelphia is proof. Phillies themselves hadn't made it to the postseason since 2011. Not even in COVID year could they get it done. But now they have the chance to etch themselves back into the record books. While everyone within a 200-mile radius prays for mercy due to the sheer destruction that city will wreak on us all. God help us in our inevitable heat death. I know how this goes by now. A team comes in looking like they should destroy a vastly inferior opponent. Then that juggernaut proceeds to wake up in an alleyway with their pants missing and no recollection of the night before. Phillies win the World Series. You know why? Because chaos. No other reason needed. Houston, if I were you, I'd wax your light bulbs. It's the only way you can stop the onslaught.
Chibango gets it. I don't want to necessarily bother our feathered friend here. Ducks are very aggressive. I don't know if you know that. I don't. They're very aggressive. And we're going to keep on playing. It's a 1-1.
If the Dodgers come back and win this, they're going to have a rally duck.
The rally duck, rally foul?